welcome to the Newsx Sunday Guardian Roundtable. Well, it's been a politically very exciting week. After a long time, we've seen Parliament in action, doing what it should do, debating. But the level of debate is something that we're going to be talking about today. Both Rahul Gandhi and the Prime Minister spoke. The Congress, I think, made a smart move. Instead of just protesting outside Parliament, they managed to bring in the Adani issue on the floor of the House by bringing it in the President's address. At least they managed to get the voice heard. Or did they? Because we know Rahul Gandhi's words were expunged later. So were Mallikarjun Kharge's. So at the end of the day, if it's not said at Parliament, it's not been said at all. Well, fortunately, unfortunately, the social media and the outside media has picked up their speeches, and the Congress is going at it very actively and aggressively. They had their event on Prime Minister Modi in the Rajya Sabha. When the Prime Minister tried to speak, the Congress benches heckled him. Modi Adani Bhai Bhai was said and heard very clearly on the floor of the House. Is that good politics? Is that good parliamentary etiquette? Because at the end of the day, the Prime Minister managed to have his say, and he also said ki jitna keechad uchhadte ho, utna hi lotus will bloom. So who won this political game between the two of them? Did the Congress at least achieve their limited goal of making Parliament aware of what is happening, what they feel is happening on the Adani issue? Joining me on this topic today, we have with us Sanjay Kumar. He's a professor at CSDS and director at Lokniti. We have Ashutosh. He's a founder, editor of satyahindi.com and a columnist and author. And Sanjay Kapoor, he's the editor of Hard News. Sanjay Kumarji, can you, what is your first take on both the speeches? Who do you think managed to win this round?
I don't think it was a match where it needed to be decided who is going to win. And frankly, Priya, I won't be able to say whether Rahul Gandhi won this match or whether Narendra Modi won this match. But if I go by people's narrative, if I speak to the people on the street, I don't think that Rahul Gandhi has been able, or Congress has been able to corner Narendra Modi, Prime Minister Modi, because of the allegations they have made or the speech which was made in the Lok Sabha. But I think BJP is slightly on a defensive, and I'm using the word slightly because the charges were, serious in a sense. And the BJP, when Prime Minister was speaking, he tried to evade all those charges. He did not give any reply on the charges which were made by the Congress leaders. So I think there is some dent, very little, I would say, but a little bit of on back foot BJP seems to be these days.
Ashutosh, you're between the two Sanjays. So what is your first reaction on the two speeches?
It's difficult to say for the simple reason because I partly agree with the Sanjayji when he says that in terms of the public image, slightly might be slightly dented. BJP might be looking slightly defensive. But the fact of the matter is, in a war situation, the battle is a psychological battle. I think in that psychological battle, the BJP is rattled today. And I had never seen Prime Minister Modi losing his temper, losing his composure, and shouting at the top of his voice. And in the Parliament, especially in the Rajya Sabha, when this the sloganeering was happening, and the sloganeering was not done by the Congress itself. The sloganeering was done by entire opposition over there. And in that, even Aam Aadmi Party member of Parliament Sanjay Singh had a major role to play. So when the Prime Minister loses his composure, that means the issue has gone under his skin, and somewhere psychologically he's dented. If we evaluate, if we assess the politics on that basis, I think the first round has gone to the opposition, and especially to the Rahul Gandhi. Because if the institutions of the Parliament were brought in to expunge all those things which Rahul Gandhi has said or the Kharge has said, I had never seen something like this. That the entire almost speech was not expunged but mutilated. So if the government has to go to that extent to get it mutilated for the institutional memory of the Parliament, that shows it is haunting them. Otherwise, you had covered Parliament. I have not covered Parliament as long as you did, or the Sanjay Kapoor has done, or other member of senior journalist fraternity has done. And all of them are in consensus that Rahul Gandhi had not said anything which can be called unparliamentary and which needed to be substantiated. If Rahul Gandhi, whatever has said, needed to be substantiated, then what about the Bofors issue? What about the coal issue? What about the 2G issue? What about the CWG issue? Then opposition can never put the government on mat, because it is not the job of the opposition to investigate. It is the job of the opposition, if they find something doubtful and suspicious, to ask questions. And how will I ask questions unless I say this is what has happened and government has to respond? If the government says authenticate, then if I am going to authenticate, then where is the investigation? So I think the dignity of the House has gone down. The dignity of the Prime Minister's office has gone down. The opposition, for the first time in the last 9 years, has been successful in pricking deeper into the PM's mindset.
That's a point, Ashutosh has raised a good point, Sanjay, because, they may have expunged. Jairam Ramesh has gone and put the entire expunged parts on social media and let us know what parts were cut out in what context. They want to ban a BBC film. So banning and expunging shows your own insecurities. Might as well take it head on, and, whether he should have answered the questions in Parliament or not is, I'm on the follow-up question. But this expunging and banning, does it show the government on a back foot, or you think ignoring it was a smart move?
Thank you, Priya, for calling me to listen to my friends and to your questions. Yeah, I think banning is extremely in bad taste. But I think what has really happened that there have been allegations that have been leveled against Mr. Modi for a long time about his proximity with Mr. Adani. In fact, if you remember, Rahul Gandhi has been going from place to place, from rally to rally, saying that Adani Ambani ki sarkar, but it is not making any kind of impact on this support or the following of Mr. Modi. What has really changed now is that the allegations are stemming from abroad, and Mr. Modi has begun to realize that he really can't really control it. So when the BBC documentary came out, the same thing happened. He reacted very, very, you can say, uncharacteristically, in a manner that we hadn't seen him before, because he knew what really lay ahead, because these were coming from a respectable organization which has credibility far more than what he's able to do with Indian outfits. Although we had written spoken million words about what really transpired in Gujarat and how the entire riot unfolded and how many people were killed. But he could brazen it out, and there was this court order last year which kind of threw everything out,
Even Congressman Shashi Tharoor saying that we have moved on.
Yeah, we have to move on. But the truth is that this is an allegation stemming from abroad. And you pick up the Economist magazine, you find Mr. Adani and Mr. Ambani together. So the first time in the last 8 or 9 years, you have a corruption charge, you have malfeasance of a certain kind sticking on Mr. Modi. And he's not able to shake it out. I mean, you can do whatever you want to back home, but it kind of sullies your image at the time when you're trying to be the leader of the South, the voice of the South, and heading the G20 summit. So it's come at a very wrong time, and he's rattled, and he's showing that in many ways. Before you give Mr. Sanjay Kumar the mic, I want to add one more thing, that we must visit the circumstances in which the Brazilian election took place. At the time when the campaign was being put together by Mr. Lula, that time there was a bit of clarity about how to pull Mr. Bolsonaro down. And one of the things was to somehow raise an issue of corruption. And there was nothing against Mr. Bolsonaro's corruption. Then the media or the people who were against Mr. Bolsonaro found that his son had bought 51 properties or cash down. And that was a major charge. So similar charge has been leveled against Mr. Modi, and Modi knows that all the spin doctoring that has been happening, that it's a very clean government, a nationalist government, could get deeply impacted as we go into the election year next year.
But Sanjay, are these charges holding? Because, until now, Prime Minister Modi says with great pride that I have the trust of, the 140 crore countrymen ka vote hai, trust hai. So his whole thing has been that his credibility is at stake. Corruption charges have not hit him personally. Here also we can say systemic failure hoga. But can we say that corruption charges are hitting the Prime Minister like in Bofors? Later on it was struck down, but Rajiv Gandhi went because Bofors ka bilkul seedha PM ka ho sakaya tha.
Priya, I think this is just the beginning. Okay. I don't think that corruption charges, the charges which are leveled against, started people have started having a little bit of belief, because there is also a disenchantment about the way the government has been run. And when I say the government has been run, I'm specifically mentioning to two things, which is about unemployment and price rise. Now, very often I come across people who would say, बाकी सब तो ठीक है, लेकिन मोदी सरकार ने कहा बहुत कुछ किया नहीं. अब देखिए महंगाई कितनी बढ़ी है. So what is happening is that if you level the corruption charges, and that happened in 2014, and that also happened in 1989. So when in 1989, when corruption charges were leveled, it was related, the opposition was successful in relating it to the national security, that this is the kind of a corruption in which national security is being compromised. People believed that. In 2014, when a lot of corruption charges were made against the UPA minister, it was related to the price rise, immense price rise. And BJP at that time was able to convince the people that price rise is because the common man has to pay more because these ministers have made money being a minister. So people started believing that, this is all, they are the sufferer because the ministers are enjoying. If the opposition succeeds in convincing that this unemployment and price rise is also because, look at what is happening on the other end. This is governments being so close to a big business house. So if the opposition succeeds in convincing these people, establishing a relationship, then this is going to stick on the shoulders of Prime Minister Modi or on the government. If opposition fails to make that connection, then I think this will go away in a couple of months' time.
I agree with Sanjay ji in that point. It's now up to the opposition to see at what lengths they can convince. The foreign media will do their bit. But the government is very good, prompt at making any foreign publication who writes against the government saying it's anti-national, that kahani khatam. It's your own media and your own politicians who have to convince the public that this is wrong or this is right. He was not able to do it during the Anil Ambani scam, during the Rafael scam. Chaukidar Chora totally flopped. So now, can he take this further? You think Rahul Gandhi has gained more credibility post Bharat Jodo that he can make people believe it? Ashutosh?
See, there is no doubt about it. The Rahul Gandhi has certainly gained a lot of credibility after the Bharat Jodo Yatra. And the way he put the entire issue in the parliament, I think again, it's not the same Rahul Gandhi. Rahul Gandhi was very focused. Rahul Gandhi knew what is going to hit. And he was just concentrated on one particular issue. And in the end, when he asked 4 questions, कि आप कितनी बार गए थे, साथ लेकर गए थे, नहीं गए थे, वापस लौटे तो कितने बार कॉन्ट्रैक्ट हुआ. I think these are the plain simple questions. कि लोग पूछेंगे भाई राहुल गांधी यही तो पूछ रहे हैं ना कि अडानी के साथ आप कितनी बार गए थे, बता क्यों नहीं देते आप. तो ये बहुत आसान है लोगों के दिमाग में बातों को जाना. But other than that, as it is said, the Rome is not built in a day. Bofors issue was not built in a day. CWG was not built in a day. 2G was not built in a day. And coal Ghotala was not built in a day. It takes time. It's just only 2 weeks. And in 2 weeks, if this issue has generated so much heat that today when I'm looking at the Times of India newspaper, in the Times of India newspaper, you look at the top Times business headline, the MSCI index rejig for Adani stocks triggers fresh sellout. These are the global prestigious institutions. And then the Norway Wealth Fund completes Adani stake sales. And then there is a French also. Then there is Economist magazine also. Then there is a S&P Dow Jones also. There is a Citigroup also. So if such prestigious... But
Ashutosh, today I checked the shares. Shares are going up, Adani shares. In fact, before...
That doesn't matter. Shares going up and down is something which is a different thing altogether. But if such globally recognized institutions, they are showing disbelief in Adani's ventures, that means there is something wrong. That means they believe more in the Hindenburg report than Adani. So if the global tilt is not on the side of the Adanis, that means government has to think about it. And every government which has been accused of some corruption, in the beginning they try to brazen it out. They become very blatant. They think the issue will die down in the course of time. And after some time, they realized that they were found into some trap. So I think in the day one, when the issue was raised, because still not one opposition leader has leveled any corruption charges against the Prime Minister. Not one. Nobody has said that the Prime Minister has got money from the Adanis. What they are alleging is that there is a case of nepotism. It seems that Prime Minister Modi has helped Adani grow so exponentially. So there is a charge of nepotism only. If the Prime Minister has openly said there are independent regulators, we have got to, it has come to our notice, we will get it properly investigated, matter would not have escalated so much. And forget it, the global capital is going to look at India's capital with lot of suspicion, lot of doubt, and that will impede India's growth story in the coming days.
But Sanjay, is this a smart strategy? The Prime Minister or the government not acknowledging it? He's making maybe Nirmala Sitharaman or other people speak, but he himself has not acknowledged it. They don't acknowledge scams. Unlike the Congress, where every allegation ministers were made to resign. I remember one Congress MP saying that we are dying because Sonia Gandhi's very Christian sense of morality, which is like any taint, minister first resigns until the case is proven guilty or not. Here it's the other way around. You don't even acknowledge any allegation. So a lot of scams just get brushed under the carpet, and the government is very clearly up to come and say that हमारे पास कोई scandal आया ही नहीं है. So in terms of strategy, how do you see it?
I think what it really shows is that Prime Minister wants to project that corruption is not possible because he positioned himself as a chowkidar, somebody who will ensure that there is nobody who's stealing anything from the government. Na main khaunga, na khane dunga. That is the premise on which he fought the election. And that is what he keeps telling time and again, and conveying also that I have no family, that there's nobody for whom I would make money. So that message has gone down right to the lowest level, and that has worked time and again. So when you have an allegation like this, you may resort to the old tactics by showing that you're a victim, like he was in the parliament. He was thumping his chest that I can take everybody on. And this is most bizarre manner he did it. He tried to show that you had the combined opposition, which was after him, whereas he was doing national service. And that was something totally wrong because he was being prevented from doing it. So I think, as I said earlier, the bulk of the allegation has come from abroad. And the bigger charge, which has not really been discussed, is the billions of dollars which have come from tax havens. And that is where his stepbrother, Mr. Vinod Adani, is responsible. In fact, the Hindenburg report, which has been mentioned by Ashutosh, suggests that if he was very keen about wondering how the money is coming in, it could be drug money, it could be any kind of money, it could be round tripping that may be happening, money coming in from India, going back there and coming back here, then he should have called Mr. Vinod Adani over breakfast and found out for himself how from where the money was coming in. But those
his point is that I'm letting SEBI do the investigation. The Prime Minister at the end of the day is not going to call people and question them about various things. That's not also his job, and there are systems in place. So let the systems do the investigation.
So you have the regulators, you have to start doing it.
JPC or a SEBI, but we can't say the Prime Minister should summon somebody and have that conversation.
No, Prime Minister should not do it. The fact of the matter is that you should allow regulators, you allow the things to happen. But what was happening contrarily, that anybody who makes a dissenting voice against the state was being subjected to all kinds of harassment by Enforcement Directorate, CBI. So it was very bizarre when the PM was standing up in the parliament and saying, I'm alone and taking on. But somebody should have told him that you have the ED, you have the CBI, you have income tax, and all have felt the wrath of the state courtesy in their opposition to you. So it's not really he was all alone and taking on the might of the opposition, which is like minuscule. They don't even exist.
It's saying that ED ne opposition ko unite kar diya hai. So
that is.
I'm going to take a break, Sanjay, and come back and continue this conversation, but a quick break. Hello and welcome back to the Newsx Sunday Guardian Roundtable. We're taking a look this week at the happenings in Parliament and with particular focus on the politics of Rahul Gandhi and Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Sanjay ji, the whole opposition strategy, Rahul Gandhi strategy, do you think that they've been able to make a mark by they should continue with this issue rather than beach mein, they were talking about jobs and other on Bharat Jodo, he started talking about employment. Is this a more emotive issue, and will this work when that whole Rafale scam did not work?
Again, Priya, very difficult to say whether this will work or not. But as I said, if corruption charges which are being leveled against Prime Minister Modi, if opposition is able to succeed, that the entire problem about unemployment and price rise. So these things also needs to be brought into the campaign by opposition in putting the government in the right corner. So this relationship needs to be established. There is a widespread unemployment. There is price rise, and look at what is happening at the other end, which is the government and several ministers in the government. So if the opposition is able to bring a correlation between these two things, I think this is going to be one of the issues for 2024. But as I said, this alone cannot be one issue which can pull down the government or which can even put the BJP in a tight corner. It has to be seen in relationship with several other issues which are there on the ground, which opposition has not been able to make inroads in different assembly elections, just using those issues like unemployment and price rise. So this is another handle at the hands of opposition, and they have to make good use of this.
Good point. Actually, I heard the PM speech then last night in the Rajya Sabha, what he said, but he also very smartly, because now there are state elections coming up. That's your immediate challenge. In Karnataka, will people be more bothered about Adani or the fact that he told Kharge कि आपके constituency में मैंने इतने जनधन account खोले? He talked about Northeast के लिए मैंने इतना किया था while Congress is ignored. I mean, you can challenge the points, but he was talking about the states that are going. He was very focused on tribal rights, election, Northeast, Karnataka, what he has done for various sections of society, the backwards, the poor. So at the end of the day, he was making his election pitch. His focus seemed to be the elections that are coming rather than the current hot storm of Adani issue. Ashutosh.
See, Priya, I think I being a student of history, three governments which lost out. They started on a very good, on a great goodwill with the people, like Mrs. Indira Gandhi. Mrs. Indira Gandhi in 1972-73 is a high approval rating, and people used to think that she's like a Durga, something like that. But the things were building up. Again, Rajiv Gandhi, his image was Mr. Clean, and he was compared with John F. Kennedy. And I still remember that he had gone to the USA, and the entire Senate and the Congress heard him with rapt attention that here is a new messiah from India. And then Manmohan Singh, till 2011, Manmohan Singh, being a non-political person, had such a high rating. In 2009, if Congress could claim, it was. So I think when things are building up at the ground level, like unemployment, like price rise, like inflation, and other things, and the arrogance of the government also is one of the important factors. You just need one small trigger in the price hike, the hike in the mess bill in a obscure engineering college in Ahmedabad in Gujarat. Look what it led to, and one Anna movement finally became a death knell for the Manmohan Singh government. And one resignation of the Vishwanath Pratap Singh led to a prime minister with 415 seats to reduce to in opposition. So what I'm saying is that's a problem. That's what Mr. Modi is looking at. Yesterday he looked rattled. He looked upset because he, being a political person, he knows that one wrong move can lead to massive losses. So it's not that he's fooled. He's a very smart politician. He's a genius in that sense, but he realizes. But sometimes, the geniuses do commit mistakes. I think he committed mistake by not ordering openly and proper investigation into all this. Because today everybody believes that who is SEBI, who is RBI, who all these. Everything is controlled. Nothing moves without Mr. Modi, without the Prime Minister. So don't think that the people will believe that they are autonomous and they are doing their job. That's what I'm saying. Small trigger can be very big.
In fact, even as we speak, there's a PIL before the Supreme Court asking for a court-monitored investigation. So Ashutosh, if that happens, if the court strikes it down, then what happens?
Again, the government would see to it that the Supreme Court does the same thing what it did on the demonetization, on the Rafale. Government, and it will suit government like anything. But it is political matter. People have started disbelieving with the Supreme Court also. So that logic will not work. If there is a massive movement which opposition can create from now onwards, BJP will certainly have big problem.
So Sanjay, this is the examples he gave of big leaders like Rajiv Gandhi, Indira Gandhi falling was there was some catalyst, and also there was a resignation of a VP Singh or a Anna movement or something that came. Here, what do you see happening? Or or in terms of the Prime Minister, what do you think will be his strategy?
I mean, the
Will
responsibility
he
on
agree for an
me.
inquiry? Will that work better for him? That's my question.
I don't think you can really agree on inquiry, because that is an admission that there's something went wrong under his watch. And that is a major admission that he would make. And till now, he has made it amply clear that nothing has gone wrong. And even the decisions that he takes are mostly on national interest, because after all, he has nobody on whom he has to spend money or save money for.
Right.
So that premise on which he stands, or the plank on which he stands, in a certain way prevents him from any kind of admission that he was at wrong. But you look at it, he's going to be heading or hosting the G20 in the next few months. And that is what really bothers him. That it was to be a moment where he could tell the world that, look here, India represents his entire so-called foreign policy of the last 1 year, where he could balance between Ukraine and the so-called national interest that all that comes under a heavy pressure. And I don't know how he's really going to sail, because if you look at it, bulk of the G20 countries, Mr. Adani has had something to do with them. And he's gone around doing business with Australia, with Saudi, with South Africa, you name it. He has been riding on India's foreign policy to make money. So time and again, this question is going to come up when you have a proximity with somebody who's seemingly corrupt, who's been beefing up the shares all over the last few years. Then questions are going to be, look at economists, look at Financial Times. I mean, the finance minister, Mrs. Sitaraman, might say that it has had no impact on India's economy at all. But look here, lady, look at what the people are saying about how you run your economy or how your regulators are working. There's no check on people who are making predatory moves in the economy. So in a certain way, it is worrying.
So just one last word to Sanjay ji quickly. Do you think in the end will Modi fail because Modi ko harayenge, or can the opposition actually become the catalyst?
I don't think opposition can become a catalyst. Going by the way opposition, the problem of coordination between various opposition party, I think Modi ko harayenge. Usse zyada, I would like to say, Janta Modi ko harayegi. If there is a kind of an upsurge among the people, a heavy disenchantment, heavy anger, huge anger, then Modi government can get defeated. Not by these opposition parties coming together.
And you don't see that upsurge right now?
I think I don't see that upsurge, not even the starting point of that upsurge. I think we need to wait and watch for that. But at the moment, I don't see even the starting point of that upsurge.
Okay. Ashutosh, quickly, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, see, it's too early to predict anything. Frankly speaking, I'll go by what Sanjay ji has said. But, the undoing is always done by the great leaders. They think that they're perfect. They think that they have got the absolute trust of the people and they can do anything and get away. And that's where they commit mistakes. So when you start taking people for granted, it's democracy. People will elect you. So if that trust is that the trust is broken somewhere, and that trust can be broken only by Mr. Modi itself. It's not that the opposition will do that, because he can commit mistakes. He will commit mistakes. Indira Gandhi committed mistakes. Rajiv Gandhi committed mistakes, and Manmohan Singh committed mistakes. So it's not that. And when everybody thought that Atal Bihari Vajpayee will come back with thumping majority in 2004, look what happened. He was invincible at that point of time.
So on that note, I think this is a debate we're going to keep having. Watch this space for more. But it's been a very interesting parliament session. We saw good interaction, or at least some feisty interaction. After a long time, there was some political buzz at least happening. Thank you so much for all of you for coming for this conversation.
Thank you so much.
For more such videos, subscribe to the Newsx YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.